Dear brothers and sisters, a teenage girl confesses, I don't condemn my father, who sits in the full moon every day. I see that he too is struggling, searching for meaning in his life and longs for love. But he is weak. He is succumbed to an addiction that is slowly and mercilessly destroying him. He has succumbed to the darkness. The Bible says, the people who sat in darkness saw a great light. Jesus came proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing all diseases. Darkness, gloom, this is the reality of fear, anxiety, and danger. Dark chaos has one goal: to destroy God's power, to ridicule, to extinguish God's light. That is why we fear darkness. The contemporary nation working in the darkness is made up of people without hope. Hope, this is related to the loss of memory and Christian heritage, accompanied by unbelief and religious indifference. Many people can no longer connect the gospel message with everyday experience. The difficulty of experiencing personal faith in Jesus in such a social and cultural context is growing, as it is considered unfashionable. In many public spheres, it is easier to declare oneself a skeptic or doubter than a believer. This loss of Christian memory is linked to a kind of fear of the future. The image of tomorrow is often colorless and uncertain. We fear the future more than we desire it. A disturbing sign of this is, among other things, the inner emptiness that torments many people and the loss of meaning in life. Among the expression and fruits of his existential anguish are the dramatic decline in the birth of rate, the decline in vocation to the priesthood and consecrated life, in the difficulty in making definitive life choices, if not outright resignation, including in marriage. We are witnessing a widespread sense of loneliness, isolation from others, indifference to human suffering, and poverty and family crisis. Ethical indifference is growing, as is the frantic pursuit of personal interests and privileges, pushing the most vulnerable to the margins. We are seeing fewer and fewer expressions of interpersonal solidarity, which causes people to feel more alone, abandoned to their own devices, and deprived of emotional support. Sometimes we are even forced to choose only possibilities. I would describe the situation as the embrace of Hermes in our lives. The hope we seek is a motive in the writings of Paul Ricoeur, a thinker I met personally 35 years ago in Krakow. Ricoeur argues that the fall of man, see the Bible, the book of Genesis, is not inherently tragic, but rather opens us to a sense of openness, of promise. Sin, suffering, and death are the subject of Ricoeur's particular attention. Indeed, hope has a religious dimension, that of Christ. Therefore, let us open ourselves to the creative imagination of Christ. In the reflections of the contemporary thinker Paul Ricoeur, hope does not exist in a vacuum. It is the mark of a necessary reinterpretation of hope. Hope owes its raison d'être to evil. Gabriel Marcel, another philosopher, said, addressing each of us, "You shall not die." And Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, polymath and jurist, revealed rational evil as the Creator's intention. Beloved, there is no hope where evil has not previously occurred. Man is relative to the whole, oriented towards the will to complete fulfillment, sinking into totalitarianism. Evil itself is a part of the economy of superabundance. By asking about hope, we also ask about everything. Ricker's hope changes the internal structure of the philosophizing process. Where there is a question, there is a possible answer, a solution. Reason must be freed from the dictates of necessity. Everything should not be necessitated. It seems that the religious message regarding hope is the most rational, especially in a thought-provoking form. It is a kind of wager. A certain incompleteness in our hope opens us to the probability of its occurrence. We are supposed to feel at home in the economy of superabundance, I said. We need to discover certain structure of evil, the insight into which can lead to a sense of hope. See liberation despite everything. Evil is transmitted. It is a tradition, not just an event. Immanuel Kant observed that the subjective inevitability of evil is also the reason for hope. The correction of our maxims lies within our power. The regeneration of our nature does not. Hope is the hope of the resurrection. After Good Friday, Jesus reveals the essential emptiness of death. Jesus does not die. He survives, as evidenced by the discovery of the empty tomb on the third day after his death. With Jesus' Passover, nothing ends but merely begins. I recalled Kurt Gödel's saying, "Mathematics is too much for the human mind. From my perspective, the human mind is more than a machine." Our task is to fulfill Christ's mission to the end. A significant cause of the fading of hope is the desire to impose a vision of humanity without Christ. And Jesus' call to conversion is the heart of religion. The fruit of conversion under the influence of the gospel is the holiness of those who with simplicity and in their daily lives they bore witness to the fidelity to Christ in the hidden depths of the family, professional, and social lives. Jesus teaches us to walk in the light. He teaches us how to dispel spiritual darkness with the light of the Eucharist. According to the Gospel, wherever Christian faith appears, there also appears light. 100 years ago, one of the gloomy prophets of philosophical nihilism, heralding the imminent end of Christianity, proclaimed, "I will never believe Christians if their faces are so gloomy," he said. Christians, your own faces betray you. If we are called today to experience light and joy, it is precisely because our faces say something completely different from what this philosopher spoke of. To say to the whole world, Jesus lives.